It had started off under the pressure of the medical staff in the area, because the nearest hospital was all the hospitals were in Perth. Oh, and Glengarry, although Glengarry, which was built a few years before 1983, more than a few years, really only catered for the private hospitals, private patients, and the area around Wanneroo, of course, was being built for young mortgage belt sort of people who couldn't afford that, so they put pressure on the health department, and it was built in 1980. So first of all, it was commissioned by the Court Hospital. The commissioners she put in was Bobby Taylor as Director of Nursing, Jim Linton as the engineer, and John Goodsall, who came from Collie Hospital, as the administrator. And they arranged all the bits and pieces that had to go into the hospital. And then it was officially opened by Ray Young, the Minister for Health in the Court government, on the 10th of October 1980.
So what was it like, sort of, any little difficulties on a day-to-day basis to do with the site? I mean, it's isolation. Did you have trouble getting staff, or did you?
No. Initially, yes. Initially, the one problem that the patients had, or the ambulance had, was that it was isolated, and there were no lights going there, and people going back and forth either with the patient or to visit found it very difficult. As far as the isolation was concerned, we did have a few problems we used to give patients who were on, what's the alternative to morphine, the ones that were hooked, they can be on other medication. No, isn't it awful? I've forgotten. Anybody who knows anybody on those things would know. There's an alternative that the patients can take under supervision. They would come up to emergency and be given under, but the first medical officer that we acquired stopped that. He said because it was still isolated, because there was still very few people around, and these people were coming out and knowing that we had this alternative, which is just as addictive as the morphine and other drugs. It was inviting them into a hospital area. Therefore, that was stopped, which was very good.
What about wildlife?
Wildlife? Oh, yes. We had lots of kangaroos, and the lush grass that was now, kept very nicely over there. They loved that. We used to have mothers and babies to live there. One very sad moment when a kangaroo had its back broken. I think a car might have knocked it over, and the whole hospital was in very tense for the whole day until the poor kangaroo died. Eventually, we were as much in mourning about that than we were about any patient.
Now, you must have come across, huge varieties of patients in your day.
Yeah.
Do any stand out in your mind from Wanneroo that, anything amusing or anything?
Well, yes, except it would probably give away secrets.
No names.
One dear old lady, this idea that they still have of people are better off in their own homes and that. I was sort of saying that to the other old lady who was in the thing, and I think she was in favour of it, being nursed in her own home rather than giving it up. And this other one said, "What do you mean? Some of us like being in hospital and being looked after by you people." She told me which is, yes. Well, I think occasionally that does happen. Well, if they're on their own and bit of company, meals and provided and beds and so forth. That's right.